00015. Have you ever heard of a real-life superhero? Not one with a cape, but one with unshakable courage, a brilliant mind, and a heart full of hope. Today, we're diving into the extraordinary story of Harriet Tubman, a woman who didn't just escape the horrors of slavery, but returned again and again to lead others to freedom. 015-045. She was known as Moses to her people, a symbol of liberation who guided countless souls through the darkness. But who was the woman behind the legend? Born into slavery in Maryland around 1822, says she was originally named Araminta Ross, or Minty. From a young age, she endured the brutal realities of her existence. The work was grueling, the punishment severe, and the constant threat of being separated from her family was a daily torment. 0:45 to 1:30. A pivotal and nearly fatal moment in her youth would shape the rest of her life. When she was a teenager, an overseer threw a heavy metal weight at another enslaved person who was trying to escape. Harriet, standing in the way, took the blow to her head. This injury caused a lifetime of severe headaches, seizures, and powerful visions. But what could have been seen as a weakness, Harriet transformed into a source of strength. She believed these visions were messages from God, guiding her path and strengthening her resolve. 1:30, 2:15. The idea of freedom wasn't just a dream for Harriet. It was a burning necessity. In 1849, upon learning that she and her brothers were about to be sold and separated, she knew she had to act. Her first attempt to escape with her brothers ended when they, overcome by fear, turned back. But Harriet's spirit was not broken. Undeterred, she set out again, this time alone, traveling nearly 90 miles to the free state of Pennsylvania. 2:15 to 3. Imagine the journey. Traveling at night, guided by the North Star, relying on the secret network of safe houses and allies known as the Underground Railroad. When she finally crossed the border into freedom, she later described the feeling. I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came like gold through the trees and over the fields, and I felt like I was in heaven. 3:45. But for Harriet, personal freedom wasn't enough. She couldn't truly be free while her family and friends remained in bondage. This is where her story transitions from a survivor to a legendary hero. Instead of staying safe in the North, she made the incredibly dangerous decision to go back into the very place she had just escaped, to rescue her loved ones. 3:45, 4:30. This marked the beginning of her career as a conductor on the Underground Railroad. Over the next decade, Harriet Tubman made about 13 perilous journeys back into the South. She was a master of disguise, a brilliant strategist, and utterly fearless. She used coded songs to communicate messages to enslaved people, signaling when it was safe to meet or what path to take. The spiritual go-down Moses was one of her signals, earning her the famous nickname. 4:30 to 5:15. Think about the immense risk. Bounty hunters were constantly on the lookout for her, with rewards for her capture reaching as high as $40,000, a fortune at the time. Yet she was never caught. And even more remarkably, in all her years as a conductor, she famously never lost a passenger. Her rules were strict, born of necessity. There was no turning back. Anyone who got scared and wanted to return risked jeopardizing the safety of the entire group. 5:15 to 6. She carried a small firearm, not to harm others, but to protect her group and to ensure that fear wouldn't lead to their capture. Her determination was absolute. She guided her parents, her siblings, and dozens of other people, leading them through swamps, forests, and rivers, always under the cloak of night until they reached freedom in the northern states, or for added safety all the way to Canada. 6:45. But Harriet's fight for freedom didn't end with the Underground Railroad. When the Civil War broke out, she immediately joined the Union cause. She served as a nurse, tending to wounded soldiers, and then her skills as a guide and strategist were recognized. She became a spy and an armed scout for the Union Army, making her the first woman to lead an armed expedition in the war. 6:45, 7:30. In 1863, she guided the Combahee River Raid in South Carolina. She and her scouts stealthily navigated the troops through enemy territory, avoiding mines and patrols. The raid was a massive success. They destroyed Confederate supply lines, and most importantly, liberated more than 750 enslaved people. Harriet stood on the boat, watching as they scrambled aboard to freedom, a moment that must have felt like the culmination of her life's work. 7:30, 8:15. After the war, Harriet's fight for justice continued. She settled in Auburn, New York, on a piece of land she purchased, a remarkable feat for a black woman at the time. Her home became a hub for family and anyone in need. Despite her heroic service, she struggled financially and had to fight for years to receive a military pension for her service. 8:15 to 9. She also became a passionate advocate for women's suffrage, working alongside prominent figures like Susan B. Anthony. When asked if she believed women should have the right to vote, she famously replied, "I've suffered enough to believe it." She saw the fight for women's rights and the fight for racial equality as two sides of the same coin, both essential for true freedom and justice. 9:45. Harriet Tubman lived a long and impactful life, passing away in 1913 at the age of around 91. Her legacy is immeasurable. She wasn't just a historical figure. She was a force of nature, a woman who, despite being born into the most oppressive system imaginable, refused to let it define her. She took her pain, her faith, and her incredible bravery, and used them to change the world. She reminds us that one person, armed with conviction and courage, can indeed light a path for hundreds and inspire millions. 9:45 Super 10. Harriet Tubman's story is a powerful testament to the human spirit's desire for freedom. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into her incredible life. If you found this story as inspiring as I do, please give this video a like, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more stories about history's true heroes. See you next time.